Ooh. Hello. and welcome to Regal Phone. You know the name of the Regal you'd like to speak to, press 1. Hi everybody, it's me, Tom. I've got Rob with me here as well.
Hey.
And a Wampa. As usual, I will tap dance a little bit while we wait for folks to sign on, and remind everybody that this is indeed a live broadcast right now if you are watching on Facebook, and it is a little after 3 p.m. on Thursday. Then this is live, and if you have questions, or if you just want to make comments, or if you want to make fun of us, just do it in the comments. Maybe not that last one, which but we're here today to talk about this fella, who is going to be available on February 20th, which is Tuesday, which seems very, very close to now. It was far from now for a long time as we were working on this for what seems like forever. But it's really exciting to be this close to now putting it out there. And it's always a sort of nerve-wracking thing to reveal something we're working on. As we've been teasing this out over the last couple of weeks, and now eventually showing people, the full galleries are live on our website. If you're curious to see more of this, stay tuned to this video because you'll see a lot more of it. But if you just want to see beautiful studio shots, those are on regalrobot.com. Go to the Star Wars section and then the archive collection page, and there's 2 full product pages with tons and tons of photos. And we've also got a couple of cool videos of it on YouTube. So yeah, anybody?
Yeah, Ian just popped in. Tony
Ian.
Ducker says, "What's up, guys?"
All right, Ian, I'm sorry, it's not a Man. This is
Peel off the first. Show him it is.
yeah. Surprise! It was a Man all along.
Jason just came in. Tony Ducker's in here.
Tony Ducker, hey man.
Yeah, Jason popped in. We got
Jason. All right. So as the crew is rolling in, thank you everybody. It's been a really fun couple of weeks. Thank you to everybody in our Regal Robot Facebook group, the Regal Robot Fan and Collector Showcase. If you're not already in it and you're watching this, that's silly. Go find it now and join, because it's a lot of fun. And there's a really, really good crowd of people there. Some great collectors, some really fun, funny, and interesting people.
Behind the scenes
A
photos.
lot of behind the scenes stuff, yeah.
Contest with prizes.
It is the place to be. And it's also much more than just the props, it's the people. It is a really, really fun crowd, and it's what I always go back to on it. I suppose we've got to talk about the Wampa in the room here at some point. We did have a few questions ahead of time. I guess I can kind of run through the basic details while we're waiting for more people and more questions. Again, if you're just joining us, thank you very much. We are live. Please put your questions in the comments, and Rob will try and track them as we go, and we'll try and answer as many as we can. This right here, which I have here, is Wampa. This is our replica of the puppet scale Wampa that was actually used in The Empire Strikes Back, created for the movie by Phil Tippett, who was among a bunch of ILM people who were dissatisfied with how the Stuart Freeborn team Wampa looked from the shoot in Norway and in England. And they managed to get George to okay them doing some new shots. And so the first shots that you see of this in the movie, of the Wampa, where Luke is on the Tauntaun and he's like, what's the matter, girl, smell something? And the Wampa jumps out. Those 2 shots are the puppet. And they actually shot those in California on a beautiful sunny day with green rolling hills and houses in the background, but they just aimed up at the sky and put the puppet up high so you couldn't see any of that stuff. And it blends in so perfectly with the movie that for years no one knew that. It was always a favorite prop of mine ever since I knew it was at the archives. In the Chronicles book, there are some good pictures of it. In the From Star Wars to the Indiana Jones making the Best of the Lucasfilm Archive book, there is one really, really nice picture of it on a little black base, and I absolutely fell in love with that thing when I saw it in that particular book. And it's got a unique look from both the special edition Wampa and the original UK Wampa. It really is its own beast. And for me, first time I was going into the archives, that was on my very, very top few list, like top 2, I think, of things I wanted to see at the archives. And I was really excited that it was there and I got to see it. And it was eye-opening the first time I saw it. And then, since then we have gotten to bring it out for research, hands-on, in-depth, for numerous days over the course of really about 5 years of time now, because I think I first saw it in 2019 for research. We have then, we did a series of research in 2019 for a full day. We did a scan of it on a subsequent trip and more photographs. And then on a very recent trip, we did another round of research and really went in depth. And we'll go into that as we went into it. But it's been a long road. It's an absolute favorite piece, and I'm genuinely excited to have one sitting here in front of me and to have the chance to put these out for folks.
Let me just read a few comments.
Yeah.
Justin says, "Hey, Tom and Rob." So, hey, Justin.
Hey, Justin.
Dylan says, "This thing is so gorgeous."
Thank you.
Tony.
I've been working now. Is it? Oh, he means the one.
So Tony says, "Wow, what an incredible replica! It's a real love letter to Phil and ILM, and fooled the generation of moviegoers, including myself. Wonderful job, Regal Robot team." So thanks, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Parminder popped in. He wrote, "Holy Wampa, that looks incredible."
Well said.
Then Ian says, "It looks so incredible that it literally looks like it's in Photoshop next to Tom."
And what does that mean for me?
And Justin's asking if it purrs if you pet it.
Let's see.
No, sorry.
No purring, sorry. Oh, but he bit me. Yeah, it's. I thank you for all of that. That's. I've been so happy with. How people have reacted to this thing so far. It's been way above and beyond. We thought it would be positive. We knew people were going to like it, but it really has been like above and beyond what we were expecting, and it makes it all that much more gratifying when we do this stuff. This will have 2 editions when it comes out on the 20th, when you can pre-order yours. The first edition is Signature Edition. That is Phil Tippett, who was the sculptor on the piece and also performed it. So each one will come just like this. You will get one beautiful Wampa that does not purr, sorry, and one signed black by Phil Tippett. As a little Easter egg, we actually are putting these warning stickers on the box, so when you get your shipment, you'll know you're going to be cautious about what's inside. And if anybody doesn't know what this sticker is, you shouldn't even be watching. Like, this is our crowd. Like, you guys should know this. And then once again, matching what we did with the Legacy Edition on the Prune Face Maquette and the Rancor Maquette, we are doing a Legacy Edition of this, which also comes with a signed metal plaque, but in addition to that, a beautiful hand-drawn sketch by Phil Tippett. One of a kind, each one unique, each one hand-drawn. A really, really nice direct connection to the heroes and legends that we look up to and that have inspired us to make this stuff, and who so many of our fans have idolized in books and magazines and behind-the-scenes documentaries. I'm gonna pull out some of the other sketches, I think, quick, and then we'll look closer at this fella.
Real quick though.
Yeah.
CC just says, let me get it here. I lost you, Cece. Where'd you go? Hey, all. May the force be with everyone like me watching while at work. So thanks, Cece.
Headphones are your friend.
Yeah.
Hold on. For anybody watching at work, yeah, so just make sure you get those TPS reports in time for the event on Friday. There we go. We've now fooled your boss. You're safe. So, do you want to like tilt down?
Yeah.
To show these,
why don't you hold them up and I'll zoom in?
Okay. Well, it's going to be. Let's see if I can. I want to try not to manhandle our Phil sketches. So
yeah, hold it up straight and it'll be better. Like point it towards the camera.
All right. So this is one of my favorites.
Hold it here.
It's just all energy and id. like just craziness and wild angles. You've got, you know, just a little
Stoic
like
Wampa.
sad old man
Yeah,
Wampa
yeah,
with
very
a
stoic.
little snaggletooth kind of thing,
Yeah,
more
yeah.
teeth on one side. Phil is so good at asymmetry. Yeah, that's a pretty cool one too. That's a full body. You know, you don't get a lot of like clean symmetrical lines. You get energy, you get emotion, you get, you know, monstrosity, and you know, if you're, I'm sure you're seeing these
Yeah,
well
they're
enough
good.
now, but you know, every one of these just has pop and power, and it's a really consistent run. It's been cool. We were excited to get these sketches in to see what they were going to be, because with Phil, you never know
No.
what Phil's going to do. And you know, the cool thing is with all of these, you know, we're not giving a lot of direction. This is pure Phil. This is like, okay, you know, draw what you think would be cool, and then that's what he does. And because whatever Phil thinks is going to be cool, it's going to be cool. So, I know we had a couple questions.
Yeah, you know, let me go through the
You have-
comments first. This way
Yeah.
I don't get too backlogged here. Tony says, my most anticipated release since you announced the original Chewie head. It's just
Wow.
incredible. Such an amazing prop and one of the highlights in the archives.
Wow.
So thanks,
thank you.
Tony.
Yeah. And soon to be a highlight in his archives, it sounds.
Cece says, I didn't order the Rancor maquette. I know I have some regrets. But can I just say I appreciate the plaque situation this round. The photo of Phil with the maquette was great, but I like the smaller frame up. So thanks, Cece.
Thank you.
What else we have? We have Tony says, great sketches. Phil really dialed these in on the character. Yeah. He really did.
But it's still his take on it. It's not, you know, it's funny because a lot of the sketches are like his interpretation of a Wampa, not like he paused the screen and sketched it, you know.
Justin is saying, any chance we'll re-release the Wampa warning sign?
Possibly. We'll leave it at that.
Never say never.
Never say never. But again, if you order one of these, there'll be a sticker on the box. You could cut it out and maybe put a piece of cardboard on it. I don't know.
And AJ thinks he spies a maquette behind you. I'm
what
not
he's talking
sure
about.
what he's talking about. But
No
all
idea.
right.
They're weird.
All right. Let me go to some questions that
You know,
we
there is
had.
going to be another maquette next month, though.
There is.
Yeah, around the 19th, I think it's
Something?
coming out.
Yeah, it's about that time.
That'll be interesting.
All right. Caesar, people asking questions online. Chazen
Okay.
says, fantastic piece. I'll be ordering a Legacy Edition.
Thank you.
Thank you. What do you think the price range on the Return of the Jedi prop replica will be?
Oh, okay. So what he's talking about is in April, we currently have on the schedule, it might shift a little bit, a Return of the Jedi prop replica. When that is announced, people will probably get a handle on very quickly why we're releasing that piece. But it's a really cool one. I think was it you were the one saying like you didn't know you wanted it until.
Yes. We say that a lot.
Well, tell them what happened that made you want it.
What, when we saw the size of it?
Yeah. No, seeing the real thing at the archive sometimes triggers people. Like, you get there and you're like, I don't know about, that's cool. But that, I believe, I think we wound up in about the $1,500 to $1,600 or $1,700 range. Not too crazy. Might even be as low as $1,400. That is something though that I think it's a safe range to say probably $1,400 to $1,700, almost certainly in that range, give or take. Knowing all of this is very early, and these things do tend to ebb and flow a little bit, and ultimately, a lot of times the price doesn't get firmed up until really, really close to release, because if you go to our YouTube channel, you'll actually see we have a video where it's like 5 of these lined up. I like to do a few of them first to make sure that we've got our methods down and to make sure that we know how long each one is going to take, because if we get surprised by something like that and it takes a lot longer, we're going to need to adjust that price. So yeah, that should be a safe range for that. And again, that's probably April right now.
He also is asking, is there a Phantom Menace prop replica coming this year?
So, if you're in our Regal Robot Fan and Collector Showcase Facebook group, we do post the schedules upcoming, and we do have something on the schedule for May 19th, which is the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. And that will be our first prequel piece. It will be a Phantom Menace piece. It will be in the $400 to $500 range.
Yep, I think that's right about.
And it will be announced in more detail after this.
Stay tuned. It's cool.
Rob almost fell over. He thought I was going to say more.
I almost said it. And he has one last question. Okay. What batch, this is going back to the Wampas, what batch will retailers get?
That's a good question, actually. So when we do our edition pieces where they're numbered or limited in any way, generally speaking, we focus on our direct customers first and make sure that their orders are taken care of, and the retailer orders, any of the wholesale sales, tend to go out towards the end of the process. In terms of the Wampa, right now we have it scheduled going from, I believe on the website it says Q2 of 2024 is when they're going to start shipping, and it'll probably go through Q1 of 2025. That is twofold. One is to sync up with people who take advantage of the 12-month payment plan, so that we are not making 200 and some odd pieces and sitting on them here for a year while people are paying off. So we tend to space out our production a little bit to finish off when people are finishing their plans. And then two is just to give us time to work, because these take a lot of work. There's a ton of detail on them. And they do take a bit of time to make each, so really when we finish stuff like this, we tend to only finish small batches of them each week. They're currently in that process with the Rancor maquette, that is, and that is something where I think each week they're going to be finishing probably 8 or 10 of these for a very long run now. But they're well underway. They've actually, so there's a bunch that have already been into paint. There's a bunch today. I think there was 5 or 6 that they were doing assembly on and seaming, and they're continuing to move on those. We actually are just ordering the first rounds of foam to test for the foam inserts on those. And as soon as we get the foam worked out, we'll actually start shipping them. But again, in very, very small waves, 5 at a time, 10 at a time. And that's going to run for quite a while. But a lot of folks are still on payment plan with that, so it works out nicely.
All right, Steven is saying, hey, Rob and Tom, for the Legacy editions going forward, what is the likelihood of including a behind-the-scenes photo similar to the one including in the Legacy Rancor maquette? Was that inclusion a one-off, or can we expect something similar in the future?
I think Steve and Cece are going to fight. Cece, watch out. That's a good question. So, right now, we've kind of shifted gears towards this style plaque. It's a little bit of a more streamlined presentation, and it's currently works better with the pieces that we've got, not overshadowing them too much. The Rancor, we were trying to do something really special there. It was the first time we were doing it, and we were trying to also really tie back to Phil with that behind-the-scenes shot. We know there was a couple of behind-the-scenes shots of them, but this guy, but not quite as nice as that particular one was. And I know a lot of the other Legacy stuff, we have things where we know people made something or worked on something, but maybe you don't have like that great behind-the-scenes shot that shows them interacting with it the way that one did for Phil. So yeah, for right now, I do think it's more likely the future ones are going to look like this. But this is still something that is developing, and you never know what is going to be in store for the future. So that's a good non-answer. Right?
All right, switching from Star Wars to Indy.
Yes.
Brandon is asking, any hints on the Temple of Doom release?
No.
And Ian is piggybacking that by saying, like, what part of the movie is it from?
A lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's yeah, we'll have more on that soon. I think what we need to do is after the Wampa is released, we'll start teasing that out a little bit.
Definitely.
And probably pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, time is coming.
Depending on how things go the next few weeks, that could be out as early as the first week
Yeah.
of February. March.
Maybe.
So, yeah.
Well, we can say that we finalized the piece.
We did finalize
Yeah.
the piece, yes. We
Yeah.
did have our, so it's something that the research and development on and the prototyping phase was extended and extensive.
Yeah.
A lot of experimenting to get a certain aspect of it right, and it's something that on the surface appears very simple and plain, but we realized certain things about the real props that we wanted to incorporate to make sure that it didn't feel that way when you got it, and when you do get it, and especially when
You're saying too much, Tom.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I'm cutting you off. This is funny. Alex Arnold's in the group here, and he says,
oh, no.
"I was refraining
We
from
can't talk about anything to
No,
Indiana
no,
Jones
look.
Online.
He says, I was refraining from asking any indie prop questions to focus on the Wampa. I'm so glad others asked them." He's sitting there shaking.
Good. So now have Alex, you come in with a Wampa question, you pick up for the other guy asking your question, and then we'll be back on track.
Marco says, the Wampa turned out beautiful, guys. I can't wait to
Thanks.
order one. So thank you, Marco. Let me see. We have a bunch of questions in here. Pete says, Wampa full-size head to go on the wall with the Tauntaun? When? ?
Okay, so we should probably address
Segue?
Segue. So we did say in our schedule, initially we were actually thinking of releasing these at the same time. We had the idea of doing a prop replica and a, quote, screen size edition, sort of a bust. So the way the current schedule is, in late April or May, we should be releasing a screen-sized Wampa wall bust. It is a little more interpreted and inspired by than maybe this is. It is also based on the special edition look, which is different from Phil's look. And it is bigger than, not just this, but even than the actual costume was, because the costume for that was scaled to a man in a suit, which was Howie Weed, and then to put it on the wall next to the Tauntaun, we had to scale it up from there as if it was a 10-foot tall beast, and that actually took a lot of work. We've been 3D filament printing mock-ups of it at different sizes to see how it looks. We even did paper cutouts at different percentages to put it on a wall next to one of our Tauntauns until it got to where it's going to look right. I do have one piece of it here that I'm going to show you. And this...
It's a lock of hair.
I think yeah. The cool thing about that one is, so this uses an acrylic shorter fur that's very similar to what Phil used on the puppet scale. On the big one, we're actually using hair like we use on our Chewbacca. It's a special effects hair, extremely expensive. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of hair on every one of these things. But it'll give this a really different look, very, very realistic and all of that, hyper detailed. So this is the horn from that version. And this is actually not even the whole horn, because the horn has a little extra protrusion that is that attaches to the head. But I think this will show you, if he was wearing that, that'd be, even on me, it's massive.
Yeah.
The head is just going to be huge. And the reason for that, it's got to pair with our Tauntauns. And those are one-to-one to the life-size Tauntauns that they did. And they even have lineage back to those, which is great. So it gives us a really nice reference. And the sizing we've come up with pairs really, really well with it. It doesn't overpower the Tauntaun mass-wise. It does in the movie. Sorry, Tauntaun. Spoiler alert, in case anybody hasn't seen. But yes, so that big version is in the works. It will be a wall mount. It will be in the $4,500 to $5,000 range, roughly, to be determined. Again, a couple months away. And highly detailed, based on the special edition, and really a perfect piece for people that have that Tauntaun and want something on the wall. What's neat is I'm already hearing people that want this and that. And normally I'm like a choose kind of person, but I think they represent something so different. That one is more of like this inspired by bust on a wall sort of a thing, where this is like, if you like the archives, if you like the props, if you're a fan of the behind the scenes, this is such a direct link to that, whereas that's a little more of a link to the character and an interpretation of the character, whereas this is the prop. So yeah, I'm going to pull out. So one of the weird things that we got to do at the archives, let me turn this on. So when we were examining the original Wampa, we discovered a lot of really cool stuff. But one of the challenges was, when scanning, you can only get so much and so deep on something like this. So in the case of this guy, we managed to capture a lot of the teeth, but not all of the teeth. And we also discovered things about the eyes that were kind of cool, because it's one of these things where, just to look at it, and I'm gonna move this out of the way. Do you want to get
I'll be
close?
able to zoom into the
Maybe
screen.
if you zoom in on this. So let's see how this works for the eyes. So let me need a little more thing. So this is an endoscope, by the way. If anybody needs to check if they've got like acid reflux or something, I can do that in my off hours. So the eyes, at a glance, they just look black, but let's see if I can. Boy, is that light not?
There you go.
There we
that
go.
Works good.
So they're actually like this deep amber with almost a reflective blue pupil, and it's such a neat thing. It's the sort of thing that, depending how the light hits it, you don't even notice it. This thing is tricky to use. The other thing, checking. So, if anybody ever wondered how much detail is in this, like we're not afraid to get real close to this thing. But here's the coolest part. Like when you get inside this mouth, every one of these has just this insane amount of detail. And one of the things we did was, when we went in, like we were doing this on the real prop to discover those teeth that you're seeing way in the back there that maybe, you didn't have access to otherwise. Or let me see if I can find them here. Hold on. Stand by. So on the bottom, next to the tongue, there's a little ground up, real ruddy, gross teeth. Stuff like that you could never find normally. And yeah, you can just see there's just so much fun detail on this thing. So this is the sort of level that we went to when we were at the archives. If it wasn't visible to the naked eye, we started with a dental mirror going in like a wampadontist or something, and then actually wound up going one step further with technology and getting an endoscope and going inside and actually peering into what Phil created. And man, what a fun thing to be able to do. And what's funny is that here we are with our replica, that you need an endoscope or a borescope to even see the detail on, and we still put it in there. Like at some point when we were doing it at the archives, it's just like, if you can't even see it, why are you bothering? And it's like, because it's us. Us. This is what we do. But I hope that maybe shows folks the commitment that we have in terms of detail and accuracy and authenticity.
Even just the amount of times we went back just to revisit him,
yeah,
to make sure
true.
he was perfect.
True, yeah. And this was a great case where, we had done a lot of prototyping and then went back a last time and had him pulled again for
And
it.
changed it again.
And, yeah, we did. And we probably, I think on that last trip, we had him out for 3 solid days.
Yeah.
We were watching other stuff at the time, but we kept coming back to him day after day and just finding new things and really digging in. So, you guys get to benefit from that. And, I certainly feel very lucky that we got to have that fun and do all that work. But it made this a piece that I'm just so proud of. And like, it feels like the real thing when you look at it. Anybody who's had the good fortune to be around Phil's original replica. You know, when I was doing the finish work on this, the fur samples, and drizzling all the stuff into them and distressing the fur, it felt good. But once I started to put the distressing in the fur, you know, I stepped back maybe 10, 12 feet and looked at it fresh and just got that feeling like, oh, I just was looking at this a few months ago at the archives. This is weird. Why is this here?
You talked about the distressing in the fur, but before that, Ian, this is when our Italian heritage gets us in trouble.
Oh boy.
Ian says, uh-oh, I think Tom's hand gestures gave it away. Very exciting about the indie stuff. We'll have to roll that back and see just what you did, because I didn't catch it. We talk with our hands. All right, you mentioned the distressing and the weathering of the fur. Tony asked, he says, on the weathering... Speaking of Italians. On the weathering discoloration of the fur, obviously it looks very different under studio lights versus natural lighting. How did you go about referencing this detail against the original prop, which I assume was under some sort of studio lights, and any changes replicating it? I'm sorry, any challenges replicating it?
So, one, everything's always a challenge. And what's funny is things you don't think are going to be a challenge becomes a challenge. And then I'll start with the second part of it. They actually shot it outdoors, which I think I mentioned earlier, and there's a nice picture on either of the product pages of Phil shooting this outside. So it was in sunlight when they shot it. In the movie, because of the color timing on the movie, they tinted everything very blue, especially in the beginning of the film. It kills a little of the yellowness of the fur. The fur starts off bright white and is distressed with a few colors that are kind of misted in to turn it. We're basing that on the original. The original also has some age though, so fur tends to turn a little on its own, but there's clearly colored distressing in the fur, and you can see that in the film, you can see that in vintage photos. So we are mimicking that, we're mimicking the placement of it. In terms of like the faux ice, we did exactly the same thing Phil did for it, which is really fun. And in terms of the challenge, the distressing of the fur wasn't a challenge. That's actually something I've been doing for decades in terms of making monsters and werewolves and creatures and Chewbacca's and whatever else. So the color distressing and the ice and stuff, that was all like, okay, I knew exactly how that was going to go. I knew the colors I was going to use. I saw the real one. I'm like, yep, that's this, fine. The fur itself, the general sort of global manufacture of this type of fur has shifted in the last few years. So we actually had to scramble a little bit to find the fur that was going to work and give us the right sense of shagginess and age and stuff that we want on this, so it doesn't look like a stuffed animal. And I think there was some other aspect, but I think I've walked away from it too far and my brain has lost it. I think that answered everything Tony wanted to know.
Yeah, that was pretty good. All right, let's give it a couple more questions.
You do any hand gestures to keep stuff away?
Yeah, stop it. Sit on your hands, will you?
Right, yeah.
All right, Steven says, any other small maquettes similar to Prune Face or Max Rebo planned for this year?
Yes. So yeah, the next maquette that is coming will be similar to a bunch of the ones we've done. And in that $400-ish range, depending. And after that, we've got the Phantom Menace piece. We've got 1 or 2 or 3 other maquettes before the end of the year, probably.
Yeah.
We have a lot of them in the works. I'm looking at the board.
Yeah.
I didn't point the borescope at the board, did I?
Oh, no, definitely not. It refracted off the eye of the Wampa. If you freeze it and zoom in, you may be able to see something.
Enhance. They're doing what? We do have another relatively large maquette kind of in the works, maybe for the end of the year, but we'll see. This is all early stuff.
All right. Chasen is asking, is the height of the Wampa base the same as the Rancor prop replica?
The height of this base is actually different from the Rancor prop replica. This felt more right for him. Anything thicker it felt just too heavy visually. We're also, it's very similar to the base that we use on the gaffy sticks. which I like the finish on that in particular. It's got a nice grain to it. It's oak, made in the USA, hardwood, pretty nice slab actually. And it also mirrors the base that's on at the archives a little bit, which I like personally. It feels right.
All right, Dan is saying, he has a couple questions. Question 1, is there any plans down the road to do the iconic scene where we see the Wampa roaring just before he cuffs Luke off the Tauntaun with his claws, like what you did with the Chewie bust?
Gotcha, okay. So
like another version.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's not drastic enough.
It would have to be, it's probably not enough of a difference. And honestly, this is going to be a decent sized edition.
Right.
You know.
And that's his resting state, you know.
Yeah,
like,
this is, and that's, you know, a big part of what we did here is we opened the mouth a little more than it is in the archives, and we lifted his head a little more than he is in the archives. But we really are trying to make this a prop replica, not a character or moment from the film. And to me, it was really important to capture that feeling of how this thing has been at the archives for all these years and how it looks.
Second part of his question. Oh,
minor exception.
Yes.
That I think we probably should mention.
Oh, the back.
And
that too.
So one is, on the real prop, Phil only wrapped the fur around about 3/4 of the way, so the center back actually doesn't have fur, it's exposed foam.
Very crude exposed foam.
Very crude.
You wouldn't want it like that.
Would not have been great as a product. So we thought better in this case to give something somebody could show all the way around. Minor little improvement there. Phil, we finished your job 40 years ago. The other thing is the distressing around his lips.
Yes.
We were about like 2 days away from doing our final photos of this, and I was doing the finishing, and I was literally getting ready to put what I thought was the blood around his lower lip. And I start looking at my reference photos to figure out where I'm putting it and how dressing going. I'm looking at shots from the archives, looking at shots from the archive book, and then I look at a screenshot from the movie. And there's no blood. He's totally white and clean down there. There's some distressing, but it's not blood. So then I have to go down this research rabbit hole for like an hour, going through every picture we've taken of this thing for years, and going through like photos from times I visited before, 15 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever, going through photos from tours of the archives in the 80s that I've got from some licensees. And
frantically texting me.
Frantically texting Rob from the studio. It was over a weekend and I was in trying to finish this thing. And
where's the blood?
Yeah. And so what it looks to be is that in putting the last few layers of hair on, it looks like Phil used probably contact cement or something like that. And we've actually experienced this in the restoration side, where aging contact cement against latex can sometimes turn red-brown and look like old dried blood. And it turns out that's what happened. And as we looked at photos from the archives dating back to like the late 80s, through the 90s, into the 2000s, and up till now, we noticed a progression in the prop where that area was white and discolored, but white, much like it looks on screen, to where it looks now, where it looks like it's got some streaking that someone might mistake for blood, like we did. So it was really a very well-timed catch, because we were, literally like just about to put the paintbrush on and do it. So yeah, what we did was then went back to the film. We double-checked every frame of those 4 seconds of film that he's on screen. And when we saw that, it was like, okay, let's make sure that what we're giving people looks like what it looked like on screen and not introduce any, deterioration or something like that. But yeah, that was an interesting discovery.
We were slightly upset about that too, weren't we?
We were. Yeah.
Like we liked the gut. The second part of Dan's question is, will a life-size replica of a Wampa claw arm be produced in the future?
Dan, you only get one question. No, it's not something actively on our list. It's certainly fun. It would be huge if it's life-sized, but that could still be fun. I used to actually own the original claws from one of the arms. Stuart Freeborn, after he retired, had kept a box full of parts and claws and teeth. And in there we found the original Wampa teeth, we found the original Wampa eyes, we found the original claws from the Wampa. And then he had a box of Wampa fur, which was for the costume in Finns, Norway, was like old sheepskins and goat skins. It was really, really cool stuff. It was amazing to go through all of that. So I do know the claws pretty well. they're massive, and if you're doing those hams, it's huge. But yeah, it could be fun. You never know.
Dan has a question that we hear a bunch. Any chance we get a Size Snoodles maquette to get the band back together?
Always a chance. We would love to do every single one of those maquettes if we can. And she has some unique challenges in her body shape and in terms of mold and cast and making something that'll be stable and stand and not break in shipping and stuff like that. And of course her paint job is challenging because of all the spots, but you know, it is definitely one we're looking at and definitely one that we are working towards, I think, someday. I can't imagine the band without her, but she's not on the schedule just yet.
All right, Chazen asks, is the wall mount Wampa, is it going to be a closed edition size or open like the Tauntaun and Chewy busts?
Good question.
Very good
Somewhat
question.
to be determined.
All right, still going through.
Yeah.
Andrew says, when is the Regal Robot Blu-ray of all the ILM interviews coming out?
Good question. That'd be fun.
Ian says, Doctors Tom and Rob will see you now.
That's right. Hold on, let me get the scope.
All right,
Sponge?
yeah.
Scalpel?
All right, Marcos has a good question. How do you decide on what project to work on next? With Star Wars, there is so much content that you can do.
Yeah. It's hard.
It
man.
is.
We struggle with that. You know, it's funny too, we get a lot of people who ask for something specific. And it's like, oh, when are you going to do, you know, so-and-so as a bust? And for us, it's always like, we wanna, you know, like, it's just there's only so many hours in a day. So we spend a lot of time trying to figure out what are we going to spend those hours doing, and what will be the you know, what will be the right fit. And so we put a lot of thought into the price range that something's going to fall, so that we're not doing too many high-end things in a row, and that we're giving people a chance to pick up some smaller stuff and some bigger stuff. We sometimes think about things that maybe go together or expand a line, you know, where we're doing the maquettes, and it's like, well, you know, we'd love to put a little bit of time maybe into doing some other stuff, but that maquette line is so fun, and it's been so great building that, and it's like more than the sum of each little maquette. That, as a collection, it's just something so special, and we want to keep working on that, want to keep that growing.
I even think going to the archives and seeing them in person helps that too. It's like you said before, you didn't realize you want it until you saw it. And that kind of, I think, teeters what we're going to do next sometimes.
It definitely does. Yeah. I mean, certainly that Return of the Jedi thing tipped in its favor.
But that was in front of me. I'm like, I do want this.
Yeah, and it was one of these things like we had some stuff where we're like, oh yeah, this would make sense for these reasons, and then it's like you go and
we do this. All right. What else do we have? We have. Oh, someone's asking about something in the background, but I have no idea.
Was it like over here?
It's something that we didn't realize in the background.
Over there? Oh.
Stop looking around. You're gonna blow it. Where else do we have? Cece says, can those whose last names start in a vowel have an extra Wampa sticker?
I would love to. You know, it's funny. We actually were just talking about this. Katie was like, you know, maybe it'd be cooler if we just put the sticker in the box with them and then they could have it. But we can't sell people stickers.
No.
We could put a sticker on a box, but we can't sell it. It's the magic of licensing. I do like these stickers. They're really cool.
Steve says, wanted to say thank you for all that you do. Also would like to be possible for polls on the Facebook community vote to determine new product releases. We have spoken about that.
Yeah. And we've kind of put some feelers
maybe
out
more of a
on
this
that
or
stuff.
that type of scenario we could probably do.
It's tough because of all the other factors that go into it, but I'm sure we could probably do something like that. Maybe we do that for a future meeting.
Yeah, I think we can. Dan says, Regal Robot has truly become one of, if not the top replica making companies. Amazing job, guys. Truly amazing. Yeah, thanks, Dan. That's really nice.
Very much, Dan.
Melanie says, since you guys have done such a terrific job on Chewie and the Wampa, do you think you'll ever do an Ewok?
An Ewok would be a lot of fun.
It would be awesome.
So I have a special connection with the Ewoks. They make me feel tall.
And only a short jail time. It was fine.
So years back, when Prop Store was helping Stuart Friedborn find homes for all of the material he had kept in his he had this house that he had all these greenhouses on the property, and those were his workshops, and they were filled with boxes of stuff from all the 50 years of makeup and movies that he had done. In those boxes were spare skins and faces and fur and teeth and eyes and things for the Ewoks. And so I got to take those pieces and assemble them into modern day versions of those Ewoks. They were nondescript, they're just generic Ewok warriors, whatever you want to call them. But they were made with all of the real materials. So I've got a really good background on those. I've got a really good understanding of how they went together, what they look like under the fur, all of that stuff. So never say never. I love Ewoks. I think an Ewok bust would be really fun.
Tony says, is the prop fixed to the base?
Yes. It is held on by a couple of screws, actually, and it is not light, but not super heavy. It's probably about 10 pounds, I guess.
When we were talking about the relatively large maquette, Ian says, and inspired by a banana.
Oh, God. Ian. Oh, poor Ian.
Oh, that's so funny.
We're just going to make that one last. So every time he dies a little more intense.
David,
we're sorry, it's not him yet.
David's got a good question.
Yeah.
Any droid prop replicas coming? His CZ3 is lonely.
That is a sad thing.
Yeah.
We should try to rectify that.
We should. Without a banana.
No bananas.
Robert says, the Wampa is absolutely incredible. You guys knocked this one out of the park.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. All right, Tony says, such an iconic piece. It totally sold the look Wampa to the audience. It's a work of art. Only you guys could have pulled this off.
Oh,
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. We did seem pretty uniquely set for doing this. You know, this is when I look at my past of making stuff, you know, hairy creatures and monsters and especially Wampas, you know, come to mind.
Jason's asking if he can see the Rancor next to the Wampa. That's gonna be kind of tough to do.
Oh, the
no,
Rancor
I'm assuming he means the puppet replica. Yeah, Jason, if you're still on, comment and let us know. You want the full size puppet or the maquette? The maquette we can do.
Yeah.
Without maybe knocking. Well, you gotta be careful.
Yeah,
with that.
exactly. I don't want to knock anybody over there.
Dylan's got a good question. If the Phantom Menace maquette is well received, would you consider doing more?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think you know there's not like any sort of heavy duty negativity in terms of our feelings about that stuff, especially in terms of the production material for the movie.
Yeah.
You know, the maquettes that they made for that
are amazing.
movie are incredible and really beautiful. If this is what Jason wanted to see, then
yeah, there you go.
There we go.
And Jason is also asking, hopefully, if the maquette does well, will we see any props from the Phantom Menace in the future? So I'm sure.
Never know. Yeah, never know.
He wants the puppet one, the big guy. That's going to be a little tough. Yeah.
Bit of a tall order there.
The camera will definitely be knocked over me doing that.
I would say the puppet is probably, I think he's about 18 inches tall, if I remember right. So he's probably a good 6 inches taller than him, or 5 inches taller than him. He's just about 13 inches at the top of the fur from the floor here, or top of the table, not the floor.
Jason had a question online. I think this would be a good one to cover. How much will the down payment and monthly payments be for the payment plan on the Wampa?
That's a good question. So here's the cool thing. The website actually can calculate that stuff for you even before the item is available. Put that guy back. Don't want anybody looking too closely at that case. So if you go to the product page, at the very top of the page, just under the title, will show you what the down payment would be, and then there's a Learn More button that'll show you the monthly payments. If my recollection is correct, it's a little under $400 down payment, and then a little under $200 a month for the Signature Edition, and a little over $400 and a little over $200 a month for the Legacy Sketch Edition.
All right.
And that is using a 12-month plan. The good thing is you can also adjust the plan to suit how you like to pay. And if you ever decide you want to pay off early, you can log into Partially and do that right through your account.
Joe is asking, any update on the numbered or legacy edition for Rees?
Not at this time. I'll just say that. Oh, look, there's something on the desk. I'm going to fix the desk now.
You know what? Someone was asking earlier, is there any updates on the Rancor maquette shipping?
So yeah, I kind of gave a little update that they're working on them. At this point, we're in the process of developing foam and working on the packaging for them. And once that process is done, which should be a few weeks, they will probably start to ship. And again, they will ship in very, very small batches, 5, 10 at a time. Maybe the first batch is 20 or so, because they'll have gotten further along in the back than the front where they're doing the packing. But after that, super small batches, about 5 to 10 a week for a long time.
Dylan says Attack of the Clones has some cool ones too. We're referencing the maquettes, and there's one that we really like already from that film.
Few
Melanie says the payment plans are lifesavers, so we're glad those will help you out.
Absolutely.
Ian said, there's a good featurette on the individual prequel maquettes available on YouTube, so that's cool.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
David, have you guys considered doing environment in maquettes like Lars Homestead, Yoda's hut, even something like the Back to Tank or Red Bull jet organ for Max Rebo?
Interesting. So, generally speaking, where we're making maquettes, they are replicas of production elements. I think a lot of other companies have used the word maquette to mean a small statue or a miniature or something. We basically only use the term when it applies to something that was made for the film. The key word in our thing really isn't maquette, it's replica. When we do a concept maquette replica, we are replicating this concept piece that was made for the movie. Now, that's not to say we couldn't do some sort of prop replica miniature of a location. Haven't really thought about it. It's a neat idea. Put it on a very, very long list of things to make. That's neat. Never hesitate to share those kind of ideas, folks. And it's sort of stuff you can bring up in the group as well and talk through with other fans and us. And we're both really active in that group as well every day and trying to make sure that we're there to talk to people, answer questions, bounce ideas around. It's a lot of fun.
Chase asks again, lastly for me, with the Wampa now and Return of the Jedi prop coming in Q2, can we expect at least one other prop replica in the second half of this year?
We would like to. I think we have 2 pieces that we are looking at for the second half of the year as possibilities. Exactly where they fall and if they'll make it in 24 or if they get pushed to 25 or whatever, it remains to be seen. But we have 2 that are in, active development at this point. I'm gonna say with Indiana Jones, we have props coming out in, or the prop replica coming out for the 40th anniversary, early March, and then I see 2 or 3 other things that are in the works that could also be later in this year. So there's, in addition to the Star Wars props, there's indie props coming too, and that's stuff that we're really having fun with.
David's asking, any chance of like the cardboard mock-ups and stuff that they have there, like at the archives? I mean, they are cool, but
they'd be pretty. There are some really neat, like little architectural model type stuff.
Some of them are really cool.
Design stuff, but those are.
Scott says, really love the Wampa piece as well as all of your magnificent masterpieces. Thank you so much for making these incredible pieces available for us, the fans. Also, any chance of making a 1-to-1 Yoda?
First off, thanks for buttering us up. Always a chance. That was even something we looked at a little while back. There were some reasons we held off. Never say never. Not currently in the works, but certainly up our alley and could be something we look at someday.
Ian's got a good question. Will the 40th anniversary release next month have a Temple of Doom plaque?
But yeah, because yes, it is. We have said that it is a Temple of Doom prop, and it will be, will come with a Temple of Doom plaque for sure. And we're doing it as a nod to the 40th anniversary of that very entertaining and interesting film. I personally love it. I know some people.
Yeah, I love it too.
It's. I think when we were kids, it ran on HBO
all the time,
non-stop. And it had a killer video game that I put so many quarters into. I remember being on vacation. I won $40 at bingo on vacation, and I spent all $40 in the arcade, and I mean like 36 of those dollars went into that Temple of Doom machine over the course of a few days. It's a lot of fun.
I am all caught up on questions.
All right. Well, that was outstanding. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for all the great questions. You want to zoom in on it?
Yeah, and why don't you just give a rundown again, when it's available, how much it's going to be, the numbers, the Legacy Edition versus Signature Edition.
You zoom, I'll talk. So this is our Wampa Puppet prop replica. It is a static replica of the puppet that Phil Tippett made for Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back in 1980. It is the first Wampa that you see in the movie. It's the close-up that attacks Luke. We have two editions. We have the Legacy Edition, which comes with a hand-drawn sketch by Phil Tippett and a signed plaque. We have the Signature Edition, which comes just with the signed plaque. Both of them come with the Wampa and a fun sticker on the box just for the fun of it, but not in the box. We're so sorry. And both of these will be available on February 20th, next Tuesday, at 12 noon Eastern. They will be on regalrobot.com. In the meantime, follow at Regal Robot everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. And on Facebook, please look up the Regal Robot Fan and Collector Showcase, where we do a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of reveals, a lot of sneak peeks at things, and join us there. It is a lot of fun. You can also pitch questions and ideas and things like that in the group, and get involved in the conversation and be a part of a really fun gang of maniacs. They're crazy, but we love them. So for Rob and myself, everyone here at Regal Robot, thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this closer look at and inside the Wampa.
Literally.
This is Dr. Tom and Dr. Rob signing off. Have a good day, and thanks again.
Bye, guys.